This video will show you how to complete the practice page. If you aren't able to print the practice page, you can just use regular paper or a whiteboard if you have one. Let's get started. Let's look at number 1. As you can see, we're comparing 1/3 compared to 1/4, and we're also supposed to justify our reasoning with a picture. Let's remember our fraction manipulatives. And you can see that we have a whole, we have our thirds, and we have our fourths. And down here with our circle fractions, we also have thirds and fourths. You can easily see that 1/3 is larger than 1/4. You can see that this piece is smaller. Same thing with the circle fraction pieces. 1/3 is larger than 1/4. Now remember, when we say 1/3 is larger than 1/4, if we talk in mathematic language, we say that 1/3 is greater than 1/4. So coming back to this page, we need to show that 1/3 is greater than 1/4. And now I'm ready to justify my reasoning with a picture. So I'm going to draw 2 circles as close to the same size as possible. Have to go kind of slow. All right, those are not perfect, but it should do the job. I'm ready to draw 1/3. Hopefully we remember how to do that. Go ahead and shade in one of the pieces. And I'm ready to show 1/4. Shade in one of the pieces. And hopefully your picture shows that 1/3 is greater than 1/4. I have to be really careful when I'm drawing with circles because if the holes are different sizes, then my picture might not show what I want it to. Let me show you an example. Here I have drawn a small circle and a large circle. So here I have a small hole and a large hole. My holes are not the same. And so when I draw my thirds and my fourths, it actually looks like this piece is larger than this piece. And that is because the holes are not equal. So when we're comparing fractions, the holes are identical. I find it easier to draw rectangles because you can stack them on top of each other and really show that they are equal sizes, the holes are. I'm going to just draw one great big rectangle, and that way I'm guaranteed that they are the same width. And if I very carefully split it into 2, now I've got 2 holes. So I'm stacking my holes. This one I'll go ahead and show thirds. And then this one I'll go ahead and show fourths. Remember, I'm trying to do 4 equal pieces here. So I have 1/3 compared to 1/4. And when they're stacked like this, you can really easily tell that 1/3 is greater than 1/4. All right, moving on to 1/5 compared to 1/8. So you may know the answer right away. You may want to draw your picture. It just depends. So if you like to draw the picture first and see which one is bigger, we can do it that way. All right, now comes the tricky part. 5 equal pieces. Okay, sometimes if we start too big, you might have to erase and try to even them up just a little bit. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then I'm ready to do my 8ths. 8ths are easier because, again, 8's an even number, so I can split it into half. And then I know I'm trying to do 4 on this side and 4 pieces on this side to be equal. Let's try more like that. 2, 3, 4. Kind of split it right here. Okay, close enough. We have 1/5 compared to 1/8, and we know that fifths are larger than eighths, so this is also 1/5 is greater than 1/8. All right, go ahead and stop the video or pause the video and go ahead and do number 3 and number 4 on your own. And after number 4, you can start the video again and I'll talk to you about how to do number 5. So let's start with number 5, 1/4 compared to 1/2. And then justify your reasoning with words. At this point, we're hoping that you can visualize what the fraction pieces look like. If you're still struggling to think in your mind what 1/4 looks like compared to 1/2, definitely draw a picture and then you can just fit with words over here. I'll model that for you. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'll draw just a little picture, a little smaller. 1/4, here's my 4 equal pieces, and then 1/2. So this one is pretty obvious that 1/4 is smaller than 1/2, so I want to say 1/4 is less than 1/2. Now, if you can visualize this in your mind and you knew the answer before I drew the picture, you do not have to draw the picture. You can justify with words and just explain that fourths are smaller pieces than halves. All right, let's move over to number 6. So 1/8 compared to 1/10. So think in your mind, which piece is smaller? Which piece is bigger? If you know, you can go ahead and write down your answer. If you are not sure, we'll have to draw a picture. I'm going to do 5 on this side, 5 on that side. That one was really tricky. In fact, when I color in 1/8 compared to 1/10, your picture has to be pretty precise in order to see that 1/8 is just a little larger than 1/10. If you have fraction manipulatives or you're questioning your picture, here are some actual fraction manipulatives. You can see that 1/8 is just a little bit larger than 1/10. So we do have to be really precise in our pictures. Remember that the larger the denominator, that means the smaller the size. So 8 is a smaller number than 10. That means eighths are going to be just a little bit bigger than tenths. So you could even write that as a justification. 8 is smaller than 10. Eighths are bigger pieces than tenths. Go ahead and think through number 7 and number 8. Again, remember what we talked about in the previous video with the denominators. You can always draw a picture if you need to, but you can also start thinking about what the denominator really means. The smaller the number, the bigger the piece. So fifths are just barely bigger than sixths. Because remember that it only takes 5 pieces to make a whole. But here with sixths, it's going to take 6 pieces to make a whole. These pieces are smaller than fifths. All right, go ahead and finish number 7 and number 8, and then start the video again and we'll look over the back side. Let's look at the back side of this practice page. If you need fraction manipulatives, you can always look at a picture. You could always draw pictures of the fraction pieces, but try to get to the point where you can reason it out. So when I look at this, I look at 1/3 compared to 1/6, and I look at the denominators. The denominators tell me the sizes of the pieces. So when I see a 3, I know that my whole is divided into 3 pieces. Those are going to be pretty big pieces compared to sixths because the whole is split up into 6 pieces. So sixths will be smaller than thirds. So I know that 1/3 is greater than 1/6. Coming over here to number 10, I see 1/4 compared to 1/12. I know that the whole is split into 4 pieces. Over here, the whole is split into 12 pieces. These are going to be much smaller. So again, greater than. 1/4 is greater than 1/12. All right, now over here, I've got tenths versus halves. Tenths means the whole is split into 10 pieces, and halves, the whole is split into 2 pieces. These are much larger than the tenths. So this one, 1/10 is less than 1/2. And number 12, 1/3 compared to 1/10. Again, tenths are such little pieces compared to these like halves and thirds because the whole is only split up into 3 pieces. And here the whole is divided into 10 pieces. So 1/3 is greater than 1/10. All right, go ahead and finish the practice page and then have a family member check it using the answer key. They can check it for you or you can check it yourself.